Back in 2018, the Baratza Sette 270WI was the grinder that turned a lot of home baristas into precision-obsessed espresso makers. It promised cafe-level dosing accuracy without the cafe-level price tag. Fast forward to 2025, does it still hold up? Well, let's take that fresh look at what was one of Baratza's most exciting releases and see if it still deserves a spot on the counter. And hey, if you like racking up gear like this, you might be interested in perks that come from joining our BrewPoint loyalty program, which gives you points on every purchase you make. Sign up for free and start racking up awards today. All right, let's get into the video. The home espresso grinder market looks very different now than it did when the Sette 270WI launched. It was almost solely Baratza grinders and a few other hand-picked brands, but we don't almost see any of them anymore because we've seen an absolute influx of premium single-dose grinders, zero retention designs, and even boutique brands bringing grinders into this price bracket. But despite all of that, the Sette 270WI has remained a familiar name, often showing up in the best espresso grinder lists nearly a decade after launch. Today's video is about looking past nostalgia. We'll go feature by feature and share how it feels to use and weigh up whether it is still worth it compared to the newer contenders. Since its release, on the outside, not much has changed. The Sette still has that upright, almost industrial silhouette. With its open, grinding out under the burr design, it has a 400-gram hopper up top with Baratza's signature shut-off collar, handy for swapping beans back into the bag at night. Setting this grinder up out of the box is still simple. You want to line up the 3 tabs on the hopper with the slots on the grinder's body. Press in and then rotate clockwise firmly until it clicks into place. Then rotate the macro adjustment dial underneath to the recommended starting point of around setting 18 before you can begin using the grinder. Now the Sette uses a 40mm conical burr set that's made by Etzinger, and this delivers a grind that is fluffy, fast, and well suited for espresso. It's one of the fastest domestic grinders within its class, grinding out at around 3.5 grams a second. And the Sette utilizes a unique configuration where it's the outer burr spinning at around 650 RPMs, and it's the inner burr that remains stationary. Now, whilst it's not a true single-dose grinder, retention is basically zero due to the fact that you're grinding out every gram that you've programmed it to do, but also due to that direct drop from the hopper through the burrs and into the portafilter below. On the front of the digital interface, it is designed very straightforward. 3 programmable buttons with arrows up or down for weight adjustment. You have a start and stop button, and there's no app and no learning curve. Just set the dose and you grind. Compared to newer competitors with ultra minimal interfaces, there's something refreshing about the Sette's simplicity. Below this, there's that combination of a stepped macro adjustment and a stepless micro grind adjustment, allowing finer control over your grind size and ultimately the extraction time of your espresso. Now the Sette has the ability to grind for most brewing methods other than very coarse, such as a cold brew setting. Here's an example of the grind setting adjustments from very fine to the coarsest setting. Now, over time, if you find that the finest settings aren't quite fine enough anymore for espresso, Baratza acknowledge the wear of the burrs and they include a small washer you can install under the inner burr to shift that grind range finer again, which I think is a nice touch for the longevity of this grinder. Now, I want to mention something specific about shims. When I first dialed in an espresso on a prosumer espresso machine without any shims, I had to crank the grinder all the way down to its finest setting just to get a decent recipe. I was using 20 grams in to get 40 grams out, and I was only ever able to get around 24 seconds of brew time. When I added a single shim, everything shifted. My grind setting moved from a setting of 1 to 7, and that's a huge difference. With running a prosumer machine, adding a shim right from the start is something that I would seriously consider. It gave me more of a usable range on the grinder and a lot more flexibility in dialing in my shots. All right, so here's the section where I'm just going to grind out a dose in real time to see how loud it is and how long it takes. Let's do this. Now I'm going to set the grinder at a grind setting of 9. So reasonably fine. I'm going to up it to 20 grams because I have a 20-gram basket. There we go. Reprogrammed it, quite easy. Just going to check these forks. Yep, set. Let's go. 20 grams setting on grind setting 9, and all I need to do is press play. Do I? That was quick. Whew. Nice and clean. Let's do that again. How's that? All right. Beautiful. 20.2. And that's just with the portafilter. So hands-free, there's a little bit of a calibration each time. You can hear the beep going off, and that's just it calibrating to make sure that it's zeroing off the scales before it grinds out. Place the portafilter in, press play. Lovely. There we go. Now, also use a dosing cup. Not quite as easy as a portafilter, but you can adjust these little rubbers at the bottom here. It doesn't work too bad either. There we go. Bang on. Now, one of the Sedai's most enduring strengths is its workflow. That portafilter holder and hands-free with the grinding arms is still some of the best in the business. These arms are adjustable and they contact directly to the load cell for measuring accurately. There's also the additional dosing container that comes with the Sedai 270WI, and you can grind for much larger batches, still with the precision and the accuracy of the scales, without first having to weigh your beans out. Now, if you're pulling back-to-back espresso shots, say 1 per minute on a single group espresso machine, this is the 270WI's recommended duty cycle. It will handle it comfortably. But Baratza also recommend not pushing any more than 1 kilogram of coffee through this grinder. And when it comes to cleaning, this is as easy as it ever was. First, unplug the grinder, then close the hopper off and twist and pull to remove that hopper out. Slide the portafilter top holder across and those dosing arms to the side, and then adjust the burr carrier all the way coarse until it simply drops out straight into the palm of your hand. This ease of access is a real plus for longevity, as I'm more likely to keep these burrs clean when it is this simple. Baratza also has maintained an excellent reputation for parts and support. Now let's talk about where the market has caught up. In 2025, at roughly the same price, I can now buy a grinder like the Lagom Casa that offers near zero retention, single dose workflow, and I would say a quieter and cleaner operation. The Sedai 270WI, it's still very fast, very accurate, but it is a bit loud, a tiny bit more messier, and its plastic heavy build doesn't feel as premium as some of its newer competitors. So if it's single dosing and switching beans constantly, perhaps the Sedai's hopper-based design might feel like a bit of a step back. However, if it's pulling multiple espresso shots back to back, day to day, if it's accurate dosing without an extra need of scales or gadgets, the 270WI still makes sense. It's easy to use, super easy to maintain, and it is backed by Baratza's excellent support. If you're experimenting with single-dose brewing, ultra-low retention, or just want a quiet grinder, it is worth exploring newer options. But nearly a decade after launch, the Baratza Sette 270WI remains a uniquely practical grinder. Fast, accurate, and approachable. It's not perfect, little messy. The noise and its dated design do hold it back, but for many home baristas, it still does exactly what it promises. If weight-based dosing and speed matter to an espresso routine, the Sette 270WI, it's still worth a look. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Add any further questions you want to throw at me on the 270WI down in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.